So, good morning. Welcome to the Results Rules OK podcast with Dave Holland. And today we're joined by, we're going to dip into the franchising world today, or the world of franchising, I should say. Joined by Samantha Acton and Lisa Cooper from Domestic Angels. Is it the world's #1 home help and domestic cleaning franchise, or just the UK's #1, Sam?
Oh, it's definitely Europe and soon to be the world.
Excellent. So obviously I know what you guys do, but what is it what is Domestic Angels, Samantha? You've created this business. Where did it come from? And why did you create it? Why did you franchise?
Okay. Well, so I created Domestic Angels way back in 2002 as a solution for me as an individual, because corporate life completely clashed with being the mum that I wanted to be, the person that I wanted to be.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so it was a very, very simple business set up to start with a very blank sheet of paper. Didn't really know what I was doing, made it up as I went along. But actually, that was good for me because I didn't know at that point in time that I was just a natural entrepreneur. Mm-hmm. And that perhaps I'd always been unemployable. So I learned that over time. The business grew and grew and grew, and then just like speed it forward. In 2013, we were made the National Home-Based Business of the Year. And it was this point in time I had to accept that actually I was a business person. Mm-hmm. And I'd never thought of myself as that before. I was just doing what I had to do to bring some money through the door to be able to be the person that I am, the mum I wanted to be, the wife I wanted to be, the daughter, those kinds of things. Mm-hmm. That was the first hint that actually was doing something that was relevant and worth listening to. And different things started to happen after that, including Westminster approaching us to take care of Parliament Week distribution in the local area. Mm-hmm. To give people voices. They saw us as leaders, innovators for empowering individuals.
Wow. Okay.
But also the business grew because we had this PR platform. Yeah. And it was growing and growing. So if you imagine at that point, we were structured like a triangle like this, yeah? Mm-hmm. And suddenly it started to grow like that. And yeah, it was kind of like busting at the seams a bit. And that was the first time we brought on a mentor at that point, a couple of years later, who said, right, you can keep growing like this, but you're going to have zero connection between here and here and the customer base. And it's always been a very personable, human-centric business. Mm-hmm. And then the mentor said, or you could grow by multiplying, mm-hmm. by franchising. Yep. And I had a very allergic reaction. I said, that's the F word. Don't say that to me, because I'd been to a franchise exhibition in 2005. Right. And my perception of it was a great big ocean full of sharks who wanted to take lots of money off of people and give them an empty shoebox in return. And as an individual, I could not do that to people. Sure. That's wrong. When people give you a lot of money, it's because they've worked hard for it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And they're placing a trust in you and a faith, and that there had to be balance there. So we went through a process, including being the live client at Bournemouth University for the MBA cohort, where they assessed the marketplace, they assessed the business, mm-hmm. and basically we were able to see that Domestic Angels was perfect to be franchised, mm-hmm. and we could do it on our own terms and preserve all of those values.
Right. Okay.
And cultural ethos that was really important to me, because that's what I saw in the franchise world. That's that businesses just stripped their ethos away in order to franchise. Yes. So it was money before moral.
Yes.
And value. And we were able to preserve it. So we franchised in-house. We did it all in-house ourselves, mm-hmm. with a bit of guidance and with the output of the MBA cohort, and mm-hmm. launched as franchise in 2017. And this really connected back to where the origins of the business, because Domestic Angels gave me the ability, as I said, to be the person I wanted to be, mm-hmm. and to earn an income. By franchising, we've done that for the franchisees as well. Yep. So they're able to have their own businesses with their own priorities, be the people that they want to be, earn the money that they need to earn, and bring that balance into life, whilst enabling their angels, because that's what they call their staff, to do the same. Because not everybody wants to have their own business.
Sure.
And being able to do that kind of work where you're helping people in the homes, for people, seems achievable and comfortable. It doesn't challenge your confidence zone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So if you're lacking confidence, you say, I just want a job where I know I can do it, and it's not going to make me stretch in a million different directions, and it fits in with the schoolwork. You know, being an angel is a classic one, and we employ those staff. So they are getting the same value quality as the franchisees, as I have, as Lisa has. And then in turn, the customers have it too, because they've got help in their home. They're getting time, they're getting energy. So everybody is enjoying the same value base. And that's where Domestic Angels comes from. So every time we try and scale, those values have to be preserved. It's essential.
So just for the people listening to this, and it was interesting what you said. Well, it was all interesting what you said, but the point you sort of realized you were unemployable. And I think a lot of people, a lot of people come from a job or corporate or whatever it is, and they decide to go and do their own thing. And they realize these two things. One, you know, they've stopped working for an idiot, their boss or whatever it is, their previous company, and now they're working for a complete psychopath because they're working for themselves. And they are, you know, so when did you realize, was there a moment or a day or an event when you realized that you could do this and it was actually a business that could take off and more than replace everything you had in your corporate life?
Yeah, I think it was a long way down the line. So for me, in the first 10 years, I suppose I was just doing something that I felt that was just a bit of a walk in the park.
Yes. Okay.
It wasn't until after that that I really challenged myself in terms of converting to franchise. That is a massive deal because you're defining all the processes. But we also created our own in-house software, which we designed in-house. So we we can turn our hands to anything. As far as I'm concerned, we can do anything.
Yes.
And I think it was during that period that also, but I'm trying to think when the penny dropped.
Yeah.
It would have been out in the networking world where people are conforming to whatever their businesses that they're working for, or perceived business traditions in the way that you should operate and behave. And we aren't like that. We're very off the wall compared to other people. But what it is we are comfortable in our own skin. We're comfortable with our own selves, and we're comfortable with expressing what we consider to be of importance. And when I realized that, that's when I knew I was unemployable, because that those sets of values don't fit in somebody else's square hole. And it's not a round peg that can go in a square hole. It's not even a peg, it's something else altogether. It's got lots of dynamism in it. It's a firework. It's got lots of energy. It's got lots of ideas. It's I know this is, I'm not trying to be big-headed, it's visionary.
Yes.
And quite often we put vision way before the money. And that's why we've created what we have. And I would not be able to do that as an employed person, because it's not acceptable, you know. And even the directors of big companies in corporate world, they don't get to be visionary.
No, not at all. No,
they're slaves to the numbers.
I think that, you know, I have a client who will remain nameless in Luxembourg, and he's a senior guy in a company, and he wanted to buy a printer cartridge for one of the printers in the office. And to get a printer cartridge, he had to fill out a requisition form. And he's the CEO. He had to fill out a requisition form to go to London to be approved by the accounts department. Then he had to go to Ireland to be approved by somebody else. And he just thought, I'm sorry. He went down to the supermarket and bought it on his own credit card. But it's this sort of, you know, a lot of senior people, they don't have the flexibility and freedom. And when it's a big jump, but yeah, good judge. We're all, I think, unemployable.
Yeah, and you make a really good point there. And that's something that Lisa and I need to keep an eye on all the way through as we're growing and scaling, that we do not become that. So, you know, Lisa has autonomy to make her own decisions and sign off invoices. I don't see, that's all, that's okay. As far as I'm concerned, Lisa is totally trusted. Her heart is in the business as much as mine is. And if you don't have that level of trust and confidence in each other, then you're not really a team, are you?
Absolutely.
So you have to have, I think that's really, really important. I don't want to lose that value. Lisa, get it on the list. Don't lose that value.
Make a note of that. Well, let's write these down.
I will.
We don't want to be those.
No, thank you for your trust in me.
You just get the Ferrari keys out now and hang them in front of the camera. So you just...
Talking about printer cartridges, I wouldn't know where to get them from. Lisa has to get them anyway.
My
So,
uses.
so Lisa, so you're obviously the senior team in the business, the same vision, values as Samantha as well. But what the business does, or in the franchising business, but fundamentally what we do as a company is, it's my understanding, we're cleaning people's homes, literally doing the cleaning. We're doing some home help as well, support that type of thing. And why don't people just do this themselves? Why on earth would anybody need to bring somebody else into their house to do what is a reasonably sort of basic chore? Why do they need us?
Well, I would say from a personal point of view, it's me being lazy. But I think, and especially with everything that's happened over the last year or so and everything else, and it comes down to one word, and this word comes up all the time with us. Oh, I just said it, is time.
Yeah.
It's a very small word, but it means a lot, and it means a lot to us on a personal note, not just as a business or
Sure.
whatever else. But I think people are finding, or have found, like I said, especially recently, the whole spending time with the family, having those moments. It sounds a bit daft to say making memories, things like that, but to have that time, to be able to do that, and not have to think, oh gosh, I'm going back to work. Oh gosh, the kids going back to school. Oh, now I've got to clean the house.
Yes. Yeah.
And people's values have changed as well, as in going out now isn't that high up on the list as much.
It's a novelty now, isn't it, as well, to a degree?
You'd think it would be. Everyone would be like, yes, I need to go out. But people are finding that, they've got a bit of extra cash, bit of extra this, that, and the other. And they're finding that they don't want to waste it almost on going out and doing. They want to have that family time.
Yeah.
And also for families and everything that obviously don't live close to each other. So that could be parents, grandparents, sibling, anything.
Yeah. To
know that they're confident and they're comfortable that their family is being looked after.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting point, because I think my mom is fiercely independent. She's nearly 90 now over in the UK, and we people going around to do some gardening and the tidying and the DIY and all that sort of thing for her. And we've been very fortunate. We found this is a little local community spirit thing, and she has all this help coming in, and it keeps her independent. By having help, it keeps her independent. And something even that we've noticed here, this is as you guys know, this is the renovation cottage, and I thought we'd done a fabulous job with the kitchen, and we'd renovated, decorated, all this sort of thing. And somebody else came in to have a look at it, and they immediately spotted 2 or 3 things. There's a wire hanging out over there. There's something over there that's not quite screwed up properly. That because we're here, we don't see it. So I guess from having an outside person come in, it's a real fresh approach. They see things that probably homeowners don't see themselves as well, I would have thought.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. And I know with a lot of our franchisees and everything else, that is a lifeline to some of their customers and their families.
I mean, is it sometimes I guess the angels are the only people that are seen on a regular basis, sometimes in some people's lives, and tragic as that could be. So you're a real lifeline, not just cleaning, it's the home help, the conversation, the help and the support you give them as well. So
it's just knowing that someone's coming in each week, or daily, whatever they have. But it's just knowing that they can see someone and they can talk to someone and make that connection. And create a relationship that keeps some of them going, because some of them don't see anyone from one week to the next. Especially now, we don't even have milkmen so much anymore, so we don't necessarily get to see them.
So I assume then you have to be really careful with who you recruit as franchisees, but also they have to be very careful who they recruit and work with as angels, delivering, Sam, as you were saying, delivering the values, delivering the promise as well is the key thing. So how do you approach that? What sort of standards do you guys have for finding, locating, recruiting, training, developing people?
Well, I would say ideally you have to be focused on good customer service. You've got to have really good sort of communication skills, organizational skills. And that's not just the franchisees as well. The angels are treated exactly the same, and they use their initiative if they go in there sometime.
Sure.
They do all that. They need to be hardworking, motivated, want to do that job and want to look after their family almost.
Okay. Yeah.
It is almost at times like a family.
Yeah. So and Sam, we spoke about that you franchise the business for the reasons of keeping the values and that sort of your personality engaged with everybody like that. Where do you see the franchise going? I mean, where are we now? How many franchisees do you have operationally now?
Okay, so it's early doors. So there's 5 franchisees who are very well established, which means that we have tested the formula. But also we had the most monumental test last year going into the lockdowns, the COVID-induced lockdowns, because we had 5 franchisees as we went in, and we've got 5 franchisees still now. Now, that is an excellent test of the resilience of the business. And I don't just mean the money side, because of course, things dropped off because people didn't want help in their homes. Families who have found themselves working from home didn't want somebody in. There was lots of different restrictions. But then there was a baseline that still needed help, where we had maybe the kind of people that Lisa's just been talking about, that wouldn't see anybody else. Even their relatives couldn't go to visit, but we could.
Yes, okay.
So we could go through the front door, but their daughters and sons couldn't go through the front door, because that's what it was like during that first lockdown. So there was this base that we could look after, and key workers we looked after. We were a bit cautious about what we did, and end of tenancy. So there was this rumble of business going in the background, and there was a bit of growth in one area as well with the end of tenancy. So lots of stuff turning over there. And now we've got this huge growth with the economic surge. But our economic surge absolutely has its roots in the word time, as Lisa said, because over the last year, people have actually had time. They've either been working from home or furloughed. But they also haven't been able to go to restaurants. They haven't been able to do the things that they would rush around and do all of the time, like their hobbies, and go to the gym and go to grandma and, I don't know, dash up the road for this. They have had time. And everybody, there is a great sense that people just want to preserve that and keep that time, and they can buy it with Domestic Angels. They buy time for themselves. So the families buy time for themselves, but our older people have always bought this time for themselves, because by having help at home, they've got energy to go and do other things. So our absolute classic was the wonderful, wonderful lady who wanted us to go in to help do her cleaning, because she was busy helping do the lunches for the elderly people twice a week at her local village centre. She was 86 years old.
Wow. And
okay. So she wanted time to help feed the elderly, so she had help at home. But it also resolved another little scenario that we have seen time and time again in her home, where the family have been constantly saying, but mum, you need to do stuff around here. Mum, we need to do the cleaning. You get this like fraught conversation between parents and older, grown children, their adult children, who are concerned about the home that mum and dad are living in, usually more the mum than the dad, because when dads are widowed, they tend to roll up their sleeves and start cooking for themselves and doing things. Whereas when mums are widowed, they go, that's it, my job's over. And they start eating cheese and biscuits and stop cooking and stop doing stuff. I mean, that's sort of being generalist, but it often happens. So in this particular case of this lady, the adult children had time and time again, she goes, no, I'm too busy, I can't, no. And what it is they get so used to the way things look that they can't see that things have deteriorated.
Absolutely, yes.
And I remember going into that particular property, and she was, they keep on at me. I thought, wow, I know it does happen, doesn't it? And I simply picked up a cloth while she was talking and cleared the tiles behind her kettle.
Wow.
And I looked forward, so she looked forward with me. She went, oh, okay. But don't tell my children.
Yes,
when it was done, she could see it and she'd appreciated it. But otherwise, you get this standoff.
Yes. Yeah.
Where, you know, the elderly person, why do they want to spend time doing that cleaning?
Yeah.
Because it takes what energy they've got available away when they could be feeding people or playing bridge or doing whatever it is they want to do. But also the children or grandchildren are going round, cannot relax and just enjoy being with grandma or granddad or auntie or uncle, because there is this undertone about, why are you living like this?
Yes.
So you can get rid of that undertone. And also, because there's an angel going in and having a chat once or twice a week, those are days in the week where you don't think about your elderly relative being alone. And also, because your elderly relative is chatting to somebody else more often, the chat they have with you is substantially better.
Yes. Yeah. It's not just about the weather and the dog and whatever. Yeah,
exactly. It's much more diverse, it's much rounded, and it's nothing unusual for an angel to go in and say, oh, how are you doing today? Have you seen the news? Yeah, I have. Can you paint my nails? All right, then I'll paint your nails, but let's talk about that news item, because I know it's relative to something you're interested in. And it is a surrogate relative role, but it's so important.
This sounds like a lot more, just a lot more than just a cleaning service. So that was sort of undervalued to a degree, everything that the angels do, by the sound of it.
And that's why the staff are called angels.
Yeah. Okay.
And then there's other angels who operate more like steam trains, and they need to go into family homes, preferably ones that are empty, because they just ram through. No, you don't need a steam train in with somebody who wants to chat.
Sure, no, exactly.
You know, so you have to, because your question to Lisa was around staffing.
Yeah.
When you find a good angel, you need to play them to their strengths, allocate them to clients that fit with their strengths, and remember, this is a business about humans. It's not about cleaning, actually. It's about humans and putting humans in the right places and making the right connection, the right equation, if you like.
Okay, so there's 5 angels now, a franchisee.
5 franchisees, yes. Oh, yes. Okay.
What's the next 5 years look like for Domestic Angels, do you think?
Okay, so we want 5 new franchisees to open and establish this year. And this is a perfect economic environment to do that. I mean, this will be a walk in the park compared to our first 5 who've had to cope with lockdown and God knows what else, and also being the first few through. So we want the next 5 on board ASAP, so that they can really make the most of this situation. Plus, as a result of the last year, we have added an awful lot of extra bells and whistles to make the franchise, the business, and their training much stronger and much more successful, and a much better experience based on what we've learned over the last few years. And then we'll go again next year, with the 5 going well this year. I think we could do 2 tranches of 5 next year, easily do 10. Now, it sounds like small numbers, but because we're a management franchise, it's really important not to get too far ahead of yourself, because otherwise we'll have that disconnect that I talked about in right at the top of our chat, where we'll be going like that. And we don't want that disconnect. We want to make sure we continue that human relationship. And to grow the team, we need the right people in place to help the franchisees and support the franchisees and maintain and preserve those values. Now, it may well be, and this often happens to us, that the universe will bring us those people at the same time as those franchisees come on board, in which case we'll be able to increase our capacity. But we are not going to increase our capacity and sacrifice what's important to us, because as soon as you sacrifice what's important to us, Lisa and I lose our time. And we're not in this to lose our time. We've both got families, we've both got things that we like to do, and so it's for everybody, you know.
Okay, so Lisa, we've got somebody listening to this conversation, and they've heard the story of Domestic Angels, and they say, "Oh, this could be good. I'd like to be a franchisee. You know, I'm interested in becoming a franchisee, one of the 5 or some of the 10 for next year." What sort of person makes a good franchisee? It's a very strange question, but what sort of people in your experience are good franchisees? What do you look for? What's the first things?
Well, for me, when I speak to people, again, it's about customer service, how they talk to you, how you interact with people.
Yeah.
Good communicators. I mean, feel free to jump in, Sam, if you think I forget something, but, motivated.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm just thinking, good organizational skills, things like that.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm just thinking I've got our franchisees going around in my head now thinking,
Yeah,
gosh, they're all so diverse. They've all got different strengths and everything else. Yeah. I mean, so it's hard to pick out.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of everybody and
I guess the strong customer service.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's got to be one of our most important.
And communication.
Definitely.
Okay, so the framework of the franchise plugs lots of the other gaps.
Yes.
So yes, they do need to be organized, but we tend to attract parents, and they tend to be the parents who are running the household. And if you can run a household, you can run a business, because running a household is very sophisticated, because your timing and planning is it's really intricate. It's just you don't think about it because it's so natural.
Absolutely,
and normal. So and if you to run a business, is actually, if you've got really good household management skills, you're well on your way. So I think customer service, communication, and those two are absolutely vital, because it's not just the clients who are your customers. Your angels, your staff are your customers. Everybody you talk to is a customer of what you say. And so that is of huge importance, personally, for me. And then, as Lisa says, the franchisees are very diverse in their personalities and their skill sets. The franchise plugs lots of the other gaps. So, for example, we do all of the bookkeeping in-house. And it's, well, why do you do that? Well, when we looked at converting to franchise, not everybody's going to have bookkeeping skills or that confidence. And it was probably, quite daunting. If you're quite a chatty interpersonal person, you're probably not a sit down and do numbers with a pencil and rubber person.
Absolutely.
So we took that away. We took the scary bit away.
Yes. Okay.
There's still number work to do, but we've taken the worst bit away.
So if I'm a franchisee or one of your franchises, I'll use the word typical, which I know maybe doesn't apply. What would a franchisee of Domestic Angels have? Would they be as them? How many angels would they typically have working alongside them? What sort of structure would it look like? And they need to have some sort of leadership and management skills, I assume, as well, perhaps.
That's a Lisa question.
Yeah, I mean, what is there an average or a typical model of an angel franchisee?
As in staff member, how many staff they
how many, just roughly, is it because it's and they don't do it all themselves, I know that they have a team working with them. Is it?
No, we try to encourage they don't, because we want them to work on the business, not in the business.
Right,
that's not what it's about. We don't want people coming on board to do it all themselves. That's not what that doesn't give you your time.
Sure.
That takes your time away. Probably on an average, I would say depending on the area as well, between 5-10.
Oh wow! Okay, so it's quite.
I think at the moment
it's quite a not say a big team, but a number of people to manage, coordinate, and lead through this. Then, so the actual franchisees then at some point wouldn't typically spend a lot of time, if any time, delivering the actual cleaning service themselves. They have the team do it, would they?
Well, hopefully not.
Yeah.
Obviously, they will jump in and they will help out.
Sure.
As anybody would.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said, we try and focus on working on it,
on the business, not in it. Okay.
And making those angels work, so they've got their time. They get their time, they do their hours, they do everything else. You've got your time planned, because you never know what's going to happen from day to day.
Sure.
So if somebody phones in and says, "Oh, I can't come in today, I'm really sorry, little man's not very well today," or last minute dentist appointment sort of thing.
Yeah.
They can work together with their other angels and themselves to kind of make the clean, the contact with the customer happen.
Yes, of course. Okay.
So it's quite close knit, nice. Working together.
It makes sense. So if I'm listening to this, people listening to this, and they're interested in maybe they're interested in franchising first and sort of the cleaning home help second, and maybe they're looking at other franchises. I've been to these franchise exhibitions, and you can franchise anything. You know, I was quite amazed at the different variety of businesses out there are franchised. I agree with your point on the sharks in certain areas. There's a few sharks out there. Be careful. Don't take your credit card to a franchise show. Is probably a good tip. But if I'm thinking about in principle franchising, what makes Domestic Angels unique? Why, Sam, would I choose Domestic Angels over XYZ plumbing or XYZ garden services? What's the unique secret sauce that you guys have got?
Because we put vision and values first.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now a lot of franchises convert and put the numbers first. And yes, we do know the numbers have to be relevant. The numbers have to stack up. People need to earn money. That's your profit. And so do we. We need to cover our costs too. Sure. However, by putting values first, getting that essential time, that magic thing, we've been doing it for years, but people have only just discovered it in the last year. Mm-hmm. We have a unique lifestyle and a unique ability to operate in a fun and creative way, and listen to our franchisees and listen to the staff and engage with them more so that they're more part of the business. And we've got a number of ideas actually in the pipeline around that to make it better. And that brings me on to the vision thing. We can vision what's happening. Mm-hmm. So we're in touch with ourselves. We're not influenced by heavy structures of business operation. We can do as we see the future and how we want to empower ourselves, our franchisees, our staff, our customers, so that the whole family moves forward in a healthy way. Mm-hmm. We can basically we can do whatever we want within reason,
and we do
and it works. You know, we are not constrained. One of the things that we've actually, it's slight diversification in the last year, is that a number of the groups and associations that we always used to be involved with, because that was the thing that you're meant to do, we didn't realize that they were limiting us. And whilst we were being visionary anyway, since we've let that go, because we did through lockdown, because we had this unique situation in the way the business was working, we've been able to be even more visionary. We've been able to push more boundaries. In fact, we don't push boundaries because we don't even see that they're there. Yes, okay. You know, and that's the fun about it. And so when people come on board with us, we want to empower them to help with that vision. So with our franchise agreement, so that's the big legal document that franchisees sign, there's a clause in there that says, if you see something that we could evolve or change, because don't forget, the way that we made the franchise was based on the way we'd run the business for years. But time moves on, and we're not the ones at the coalface, so we want to hear what your idea is. So something might have outdated itself, but also they may have a great idea that they've seen. They might have that entrepreneurial vision that they've never been allowed to have or express before. We want to hear it. We want to explore it. It might take us a couple of years to get around to sorting it out, but we want to have that fun, because it is creative fun. And I believe there's more entrepreneurial brains out there than we realize. It's just the education system programs us to operate in a certain way and suppresses that creativity. Absolutely. And so we provide an environment to take that restriction away. Yes. And have some fun. But also, you know, if you're given a framework, if you buy into a franchise because you invest into a franchise and you get that framework, and then you're just left to express yourself as a business person that you may never have been before, that's very satisfying indeed. And you get so much support from us lot.
Absolutely, yes. Yeah. It
So
is a
much
fun
fun.
business. The thing is, and especially doing what I do, I speak to people in different businesses, different sectors, and there are some businesses that should be fun. They should be fun. They might be in the restaurant business or the nightclub business or whatever. They should be fun and engaging. And sometimes they are, sometimes they're not. And that's one of the challenges for them. But almost, yeah, for what Domestic Angels do, the cleaning and the home help, it absolutely should be fun, but the assumption may be that actually it's not a fun business because it's a, it's a cleaning business, a home help business. But actually, you've made it fun by the sound of it. That is probably uniqueness there. It's that sort of energy and passion that you may not expect to find in a home.
It's a mindset, David. It's a mindset. If a client makes a complaint, and clients do make complaints,
sure,
then you need to see the fun thing. Go, right, what's happening here? What is really happening here, and what do I need to do to not only make it better, but to learn from this and take it forward so that my business grows and I grow. As soon as you put it in that context, rather than hiding in shelf saying, I've been told off.
Yes.
Yeah. You put it into a great context that you can really use energy from and go, yeah, do you know what? I dealt with that. Okay, so say you've got that situation and the client just continues to be unhappy. The thing you learn from it is that people like that in the world.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's fine. And they may go on and do the same to other companies in different industries. But it might be that we just don't know what's going on in their lives. And you just have to respect it and value the fact that you actually were the privileged person who took the brunt of it. And that's okay too. So it's how you frame the context of it rather than feeling as though you're being told off. I mean, that's like a negative example, a simplistic example. I hope that is understandable. But yeah, turning things into a bit of fun, turning training into fun, doing business every day, it's fun. Don't be upset if an angel phones in and says, look, I'm really sick, or what would you say earlier, little Johnny was sick, so I can't come into work today. I go, great, okay, so what do you want to do? Let the angel decide. Don't be restrictive and negative. So, what do you want to do? Well, I've got to have him at home today because he threw up, so that's 24 hours. Then he can go to granny, so I could do my clients tomorrow with the other ones. Fine, great. So then the angel is empowered to continue looking after their own role. As a franchisee, you just go, great, I just facilitated something. Everybody's happy. It's win-win, isn't it? So it's having that and trusting people and empowering people. We do that more so than big corporates do, and more so than lots of other businesses do. In particular, I think in the franchise sector, where things are so defined.
Yeah. It's interesting. I had a discussion. I've got to do this sort of in interviews, conversations on a sort of regular basis. I was speaking to a guy in Luxembourg, and it doesn't matter who it was. And I see he's looking at a big corporate. And I said, "What is it that you do? What fundamentally, what is it that your organization does? And as you said, for Domestic Angels, it's about care and help and support and fun and engagement and vision empowerment." And he just said, "Well, we make rich people richer and pay less tax." And that was it. There was no. It was like, really? And there was nothing else. There was no energy, no passion, no love. And I said to him, why? I didn't put it up in the end because he would have got fired. I said, well, why do you do this? Why do you stay? He said, well, they pay me a lot and I've got a share option scheme. It's like, crikey. And that's no way to live. It's not the wrong way to live. So it's very, exactly, but it's refreshing, to have that fun, engagement, spirit, values as a real focus. And that is what makes you unique, I think. So anybody listening to this, and there will be thousands of people listening to this, obviously, and they've heard what you've said and they're interested. So Lisa, I want to have a conversation with you about becoming an angel, buying a franchise or whatever it is, or find out more information. How do I contact Domestic Angels? What's the best way of getting in touch?
Well, best way would be going to the Domestic Angels webpage. All my information's on there, email, phone. You can book an appointment through Calendly, that again at a time that suits you. To be able to just have a chat and get to know each other, find out a bit more about each other, and I can answer any questions for you. Well, I'll do my best, but I can answer any questions for you. It depends if it's about shopping. Can't do that.
Okay, well, but presumably, but again, if I'm thinking about a franchise, I can contact you. There's no sort of, I assume, no obligation. I don't need to send you a check or anything. It's just a chat, a coffee and a chat to start off with. Is that?
Well, you could send me a check if you like, but no, it's just coffee. It's just coffee and a chat.
Yes. Okay.
And it is really, it's just to find out more about, yourself, us, what we offer, what you can offer, that kind of thing. And we can do all sorts of things. We do a discovery session afterwards, so you can find out more about us and what we do for you to help you.
Also, when Lisa's having these chats, she's trying to find out about you, for example, David, on why you would want a Domestic Angels franchise and why we should award you that franchise, because it is a two-way thing. We don't just give franchises out. It doesn't work like that, because the success of the franchisee is our success. So it's our success is your success. It's symbiotic. And so if we bring on franchisees who are not going to do well, then that's not in our interest. So we're not up for that.
No. Okay. No. And we've managed to get the word symbiotic into the conversation as well, which is very cool.
I know. Very Star Wars.
How good is that? How good is that? All right. So if you need to find the details on the website, they can have a conversation, get some information, and have a look. Samantha, Lisa, thank you. It's always a joy anyway. Really interesting. But I think people listening to this will get the sense of the level of energy. These are never interviews, these are conversations. But the level of energy and personality and drive behind this. And anybody listening, watching, who wants to get in touch, go to the website, have a look, download, get some information, book a call, have a conversation, and see what you think. So fantastic. So both, thank you for participating. It's all good fun. I'll be back I think next week. I've got another one lined up. So this will be regular, it'll be up on YouTube. I'll circulate it onto social media as well, get it all downloaded. For now, have a great week, great weekend. We are, something royal. We're grandparents, as you know, so we've got lots and lots of things happening this weekend now to try and get photographs and order all the baby goes, that sort of thing. So thank you guys. We'll see you next week, and thanks for participating. Thanks for listening. And I'll see you on the next one. Thanks for now.
Thank you.
Lovely. Thank you.